All ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th Annual Women's Conference Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobal.org. Music Minister, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie. Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers, Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
£100 worth of cost for electricity distribution networks appears on the typical household bill. The discount retailer B&M European Retail this morning admitted to a sales slowdown in the United Kingdom during recent weeks. Sales on a like-for-like basis. That measurement strips out the impact of new store openings or store extensions during the 13 weeks to last Saturday came in at £957 million. Well, that was down by 9.1% on the same period last year. However, B&M said that this reflected comparisons with exceptionally strong sales in April last year, in particular as the country emerged from lockdown. B&M European Retail opened 21 new UK stores during the period. That took the total to 705. And shares of B&M European Retail are currently ahead by some 2.5%. That makes them the leading gainer on the FTSE 100 right now. The online greetings card and gift retailer Moonpig has reported a drop in full-year profits as the boost to trading that it received during the pandemic began to fade away. Well, Moonpig reported a pre-tax profit of £51.5 million for the year to the end of April on an adjusted basis. That was down by some 31% on the same period 12 months earlier. However, Moonpig insisted that it was confident about the current year, arguing that it had seen a step change in the size of its customer base and that each of its customers would buy more from it more often than before. The shares are currently off 1.75%. And the Swiss drug-making giant Novartis has announced plans to cut 8,000 jobs worldwide as part of a cost-cutting plan aimed at saving $1 billion over the next 2 years. Well, Novartis, which employs 108,000 people worldwide, said that 1,400 of the jobs going would be in Switzerland itself. It's not yet clear whether any jobs will be going in the UK, where Novartis employs some 1,300 people. Well, the news follows a series of setbacks for the company in clinical trials of products that it had been hoping to bring to market. Now, the push among global car makers to get customers to buy electric vehicles is on. But today, Citroën, the car maker of France, is taking a new approach. It's launching a new SUV crossover vehicle, and there are two versions, the C4X and the all-electric EC4X. But European customers will only be able to buy the latter. Well, joining me now from the launch in Istanbul is Citroën's Chief Executive, Vincent Kobe. Vincent, very good morning to you. Why have you come to this decision?
Reach and volume worldwide, and as such we want to bring modern, attractive technical products to countries like Turkey, where I am today, or the Middle East and Africa more generally. And at the same time, we want to be at the forefront of energy transition in Europe. So the C4X, you could see behind me, is offering both. It has traditional combustion engine targeting the southern countries of Europe, but also mostly Middle East and Africa. And it is coming in a 100% electric version. And in, I would say, fast forward moving countries like the UK, Germany, or the Nordic states, it will be available only in a 100% electric way.
Why not launch the all-electric version exclusively everywhere? Why have you gone for this internal combustion engine version in some parts of the world?
You know, Ian, I think we need to face reality. If we look at what happened over the last 3-4 years in countries like Scandinavia or more recently Germany and very, very soon the UK, 60-70% of cars in this compact car segment are electrified, many of them 100% electric. Now, if I move to countries quite close, like France, Spain, or Italy, we're talking about 15 to 30% compared to the 50 to 70%. Now, if I move and cross the Mediterranean Sea to North Africa, Egypt, Turkey, we're talking at a very early stage of electrification. In a country like Turkey, we expect 5 to 10% only of the vehicles to be 100% electric. So we took the stance of saying, you know what, we'll be ahead of the wave, but we'll be connected to the wave. Northern Europe, 100% electric. Southern Europe, availability of combustion engine, but probably 30-40% at launch and probably tapering out in the years to come. North Africa, Middle East, we start with a combustion engine, but we will promote and progressively grow the 100% electric version. You know, we need to be accompanying and supporting this transition.
And is there a price differential between the electric version and the traditional internal combustion engine version?
Yeah, the reality is such, Ian, today. I mean, to get a very simple cookie-cutter approach, a fully electric version providing the right level of autonomy will cost, let's say, 10,000 euros more than the equivalent combustion engine. That gap will obviously narrow down as we move forward, partly because the emission regulation will increase the cost of combustion engine, mostly in Europe, partly because the increasing volume of fully electric vehicle will reduce the cost of both batteries and other components. And in the meantime, as you know, many countries around the world, starting with Europe, are providing subsidies to support the energy transition. They're currently needed, they remain in need for the coming years, and progressively will lend to comparable prices between combustion and electric.
And what are you seeing right now across your European markets in terms of demand for electric vehicles? I mean, we keep hearing that there is persistent range anxiety among a fair amount of the customer base.
You know, this is a very interesting question. First, we see that in our recent order books, we reach a level of penetration of electrified models. Here we're talking plug-in hybrid on some models like C5X, close to 70%. Move to 100% electric options, that's C4, very soon C4X. Today, on average, Europe, we're talking 40 to 45% of the orders being 100% electric. That's more than twice we were seeing a year ago. Now, when it comes to range anxiety, I think this is a normal technology adoption process. It's a combination of how much autonomy do you have in the car, what is the charging speed of a car, what is the availability of a charging network, what is your solution at home, how good do we offer a trip planner to the customer, how adjusted the customers will be to the trip planner capability. So I think what we'll see is two things. The cars will become more and more capable, but also each and every one of us will realize that 400 kilometers of autonomy actually caters for 98% of your needs. And is there a real benefit in carrying additional 400 kilograms of batteries for 3 weekends per year? So we as car maker will provide maybe car on demand solution for these 3 weekends and make electric cars more affordable rather than bigger and heavier. That's a debate in the years to come.
Okay, and Vincent, more broadly, how are you managing the business right now in the face of these supply chain issues, these chip shortages? I mean, it's a tough time to be a car maker.
It's very interesting and chaotic time for the last 2.5 years. We've lived through a pandemic, as you know, and the minute we came out of the pandemic with orders increasing at quite a high velocity, both professional and private, and right at that time, electronic components came short. Natural consequence of a crisis, very chaotic environment. So today, as I speak, my level of production is around 20% less than it was before the pandemic, whereby my order book is more than twice what it was before the pandemic. So there's a very high tension in the number of cars. Now, if we project ourselves in the next months, we see inflation coming. We see the potential risk of an economic crisis. So we'll immediately revert from consumer electronics chips missing and a production shortage and customers waiting to potentially inflation, economic crisis, and another form of adjustment. But I think if we are pragmatic, I think the world is in a very complex and chaotic state. Every supply chain is under substantial tension. Raw materials are going up. Interest rates probably going to move up. So our best way to address this is to use the wherewithal of Stellantis to be extremely agile, very professional, have a global reach, and satisfy our customer to the best of our capabilities. We'll continue focusing on this with agility. Quite sure we'll make it.
All right, Vincent, it's good to see you again. Thanks very much for joining me this morning. Thank you.
My pleasure, I am. Have a good day.
Now, the House of Lords is debating the Product Security and Telecommunications Infrastructure Bill, which is aimed at supporting the rollout of future-proof gigabit-capable broadband and 5G networks. But critics argue that the bill weakens the ability of landowners who have phone masts on their land from fighting rent reductions. Well, joining me now is the former Labour MP and chair of the Protect and Connect campaign, Anna Turley, and Kath Bradshaw. She's from Leyland Fox Lane Sports and Social Club in Lancashire. Welcome to you both. Anna, let me start with you. What is your objection to this bill?
Well, since 2017, the law has already changed to really shift the balance in favour of the telecoms companies. And we've seen small charities, community groups and farmers get absolutely hammered by cuts in rent. Now, we all want connectivity. We all want to get into the sort of particularly rural not spots where people can't get access to 5G. But we rely on 33,000 people around the country who own land or who run rugby clubs, community centres, community woodland trusts. We need them to host this infrastructure. And unless they're going to get a fair price, people are not going to offer to host this infrastructure and allow this connectivity. Unfortunately, the balance has just swung too far that people, ordinary people, are being hammered by the big telecoms giants for rent reductions. And this bill is just going to make things worse for them. And we feel like we have to stick up for the little guy here who is being crushed by these telecoms companies that are making around £30 billion a year profits and squeezing ordinary people out in our communities.
Well, you talk about a fair price. I mean, the government would say that a lot of the rents charged to these mobile operators are premium rents that push up the price of mobile and broadband bills artificially. Well,
they've tried to use that in their defence, but as I say, they posted £30 billion profit the year before last. And would you say, a sheep farmer earning £5,500 a year for hosting this infrastructure on his land, that's not a huge amount to the telecoms companies, but that's a huge amount to him as a farmer. That's now been slashed to £3.50 a year. That's just an example from Wales. The levels of reductions of around 90-95% are just unfair, and they're going to just disenfranchise people and disincentivise people from hosting this infrastructure. It's not a lot of money to these companies, but to a sports club or to a community centre, £4,000 or so a year is a huge amount of money, and some of them are going to really end up struggling, and small farmers are going to end up going bankrupt unless we see a fair balance and a fairer market in this approach.
All right, well, Kath, let me bring you in. Tell me about your situation.
Well, I'm the club secretary at Leyland Fox Lane Sports and Social Club, and we have a mast on our land, and first of all, it was paying us about £4,000 a year 15 years ago, and the last time we got paid, we got £9,700. Now, they're now telling us that from next year, February, which is a very bad time of year for a sports and social club, it's very quiet, they're going to only pay us £790. So basically, we're losing £8,000 nearly.
Okay.
We can't afford to lose this money because particularly in February, there's nothing much going on. A lot of sports very quiet, everywhere's quiet. And we used to rely on this money at that time of year to keep us going until the spring. And the cricket started and the bowling started. But of course, now we're just going to have to rely on what else we can do. So we're really upset about this.
But previously, though, the rent did rise from £4,000 a year to £9,000 a year, I think you said.
Yeah, every year over the 15 years, the interest rate, it went up a bit. So it's took us sort of 15 years to get to that amount of 9,000. But now they just want to slash it down.
And did the mobile operator get anything more for their money in that period when you were charging them extra rents, or was it just a case of having the mast sitting there?
Well, it was an agreement we came to, and they agreed to this amount of money, and that each year it would go up by a certain amount. That was the agreement when it was first taken out. But now suddenly they don't want to adhere to that agreement.
And do they have the right to do that under the terms of your contract with them?
No, they don't. It's not a contract, it's an agreement. It's all signed and sealed. We have a solicitor that works on our behalf who is a trustee of our estate in Leyland, because it's a trust. It's not just a piece of land, it is in a trust. He runs the trust and he says, no, it's an agreement and they should not be breaking this agreement.
OK, well, I mean, I guess the nuclear option for you would be to turn around and say, OK, well, you can take your mast and stick it somewhere else.
I've exactly said that to them, and I'd say it again.
And you would go as far as doing that, even though it meant depriving the club of all income from this?
Well, we're not going to get any income from it at all. £700 is not worth anything to us. The mass may as well go somewhere else. We're not interested in £700 a year. Right, I can raise that in a different direction. I can't raise the amount they paid us before, but I can raise £700 in some other way.
Right, OK. Anna, your campaign, Protect and Connect, I'm told it's run, I mean, we've been told it's run by someone called AP Wireless, which actually buys mast leases from landlords and charges premium rents on top to mobile networks. I mean, you do have a bit of a dog in the fight here, don't you?
Well, of course we do, as do the other voices on the other side of the table, Speed Up Britain, who are funded by Vodafone, EE, BT. I think it's absolutely right. For the first time, the other side of the table is having its voice heard. For many, many years, the telecoms companies have had a revolving door with DCMS, have been in and out and fighting their campaigns. No one has stood up for a church in Scotland, a rugby club in Wales, a sports club in Essex. We're pulling this campaign together to make sure that all of the people who are affected by these cuts have a voice at the table for the first time, and that government has to listen, because it's no good keep changing the law and keep trying to fix a really fundamental problem that is deep, that is an injustice, if you're only listening to one side of the table. So I'm very proud of the campaign that we've run to bring people's voices to the table, make sure government understand the implications of the legislation they're bringing out, and actually how it's going to jeopardise their own connectivity targets.
All right, Anna, Kath, good to talk to you both this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
And we do have a statement from EE. An EE spokesperson has told us we place huge value in building good relationships with landlords and share with them a common interest in delivering modern communications to the communities in which they are based. EE has built hundreds of new sites and upgraded thousands more over the past few years, investment that has been vital in supporting country through the pandemic. Individual site negotiations have to be balanced with the costs of building this new infrastructure into ever more rural areas. Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll have a look at how global markets are doing this Wednesday morning. Stay tuned. Time for a look at how the markets are doing this morning. And a disappointing session on Wall Street last night following some weak consumer confidence data was followed by declines overnight for stocks in the Asia-Pacific region. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong fell by nearly 2%, while in Shanghai, where stocks had earlier hit a 4-month high, the main index fell by nearly 1.5%. There were also declines in Tokyo, Mumbai and in Sydney. Well, in Europe, stocks have also traded to the downside since the opening a couple of hours ago or so. Here's the current picture. All of the main European indices in negative territory right now. Talking points in Europe this morning include H&M. Shares of the world's second largest fashion retailer are up by 4.5% in Stockholm after its quarterly profits rose by a better than expected 33%. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is also in negative territory, currently off 0.2%. The leading blue chip fallers right now are the property groups British Land and Land Securities, both of them off on the back of some broker comment that is around the market this morning. There are not too many gainers to mention in the FTSE right now, but the leading blue chip gainer is currently Severn Trent, the utility company. That is up currently 1%. It and the entire sector sold off yesterday on the back of broker comment. Outside the FTSE, the motor dealer Lookers. Oh, that's yesterday's gainers. What else happened there? The motor dealer Lookers, it's ahead by some 4%. That's on an upbeat trading statement right now. The hydrogen power generation technology group, though, AFC Energy, we've had them on the programme in the past. Their shares currently off by some 5% on news of widening losses. On the foreign exchange markets, it's actually pretty quiet, to be honest. There's a big European Central Bank event later today where those speaking include the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey and the ECB President Christine Lagarde. FTSE, the pound right now, more or less unchanged against either the US dollar or the euro. And as you can see, the dollar and the euro are unchanged against each other as well. It really is quite quiet ahead of these big central bank announcements we're getting later on. Meanwhile, the oil price is trading lower this morning for the first time in 4 sessions on what looks like being a bit of a spot of profit-taking. To be honest, a barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $117.62 a barrel. That is down just over 0.25%. Well, joining me now is Fahad Kamal. He's the Chief Investment Officer at Kleinwort Hambros. Fahad, very good to see you this morning. The inflation story just keeps on rolling. We heard this morning that Spanish inflation has gone above 10% for the first time since 1985, I think. Where do you see inflation peaking?
Good morning, Ian. It's an impossible question to answer. I mean, clearly, inflation that was led last year by transitory elements, things that, food, energy, things like that, have clearly broadened the stickier items like rent. Rent is much more structural, tends only to be revised upwards. So clearly, there is a broader and more structural impetus behind inflation today. We think that in the UK, it'll probably top just about hit double digit before it starts to fall. And our expectation is that more broadly around the globe, some of the transitory elements like oil and food will start to come down, probably leading to a peak of inflation this summer before we see a downtrend towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good point you raise. I mean, it's been fascinating looking at some of these commodity prices, the extent to which copper and iron ore have sold off over the last couple of weeks or so. I mean, it almost feels as though inflation is having an impact on the demand side already, and that is going to sort of draw the sting out of inflation itself a few months down the road.
Indeed, and I know you'll have heard the phrase many times that high commodity prices are a cure for high commodity prices, because as prices rise, we all tend to get much more efficient, and the demand for something whose price has risen tends to fall. That's clearly happening around the world. Demand destruction will occur as commodity prices rise to unsustainable levels. They've clearly hit something like that. However, there are a series of unknowns out there. One is to the degree that OPEC is going to try to manage the supply. On the other hand, there's also shale production that may or may not be a swing factor. In non-oil commodities, we have yet to see what the impact of China's reversal on some of its COVID strictures are going to be. So a whole series of unknown. And as you can tell from the choppiness in markets, not just commodity markets, but across assets, there's a huge amount of uncertainty. We know rates are going to rise, and we know that inflation is probably going to rise in the next few months. What happens after that in terms of longer-term inflation and growth remains very, very uncertain. However, we still are quite optimistic, and we do think that there is a narrow path of possibility where growth does not fall into recession and interest rates don't have to rise as high as some in the markets are predicting. That's our base case for now, albeit there's a wide dispersion of outcomes.
And that's very interesting. And why do you argue that?
Because clearly, as you've said, as we've just discussed, that commodity right now, the big 900-pound gorilla in the room is inflation. And if inflation starts to downtrend as we expect, the pressure on central banks to keep raising rates will also fall off. And recent inflation break-evens, etc., from the bond market would suggest that inflation expectations by consumers and businesses has fallen quite a lot over the last few weeks. We do expect that to be the case, that inflation likely will peak this summer, if it hasn't already, and we will see a downtrend in at least some of the transitory elements. However, some of the structural elements are still there and will remain. So we see downtrending, but elevated inflation over the rest of this year and into next year. But that should be enough for the central banks to not have to raise rates as aggressively as what was priced even a few weeks ago.
Well, it's nice to have a bit of optimism on the programme. Fahad, good to see you again. Thanks for joining me today.
Lovely to see you, and thank you.
We're still to come here on Ian King Live. The Italian coffee roaster Lavazza celebrates a record-breaking year. I'll be joined by the company's vice president next. Stay tuned.
ਨਵੀਂ ਨਵੀਂ ਲੱਗੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੋਵੇਂ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਦੂਜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਭ ਰਾਜ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਖੜੀ ਕੱਲੀ ਤੂੰ ਹੀ ਜੱਜਦੀ ਵੇਖ ਅਲੜਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਾਦੇ 'ਚ ਅੱਗ ਮੱਚਦੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਜੋੜੀ ਵੇਖੀ ਸੀਨੇ ਠਾਰਦੀ ਗੱਭਰੂ ਵੀ ਨਖਰੋਂ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਨ ਮਾਰਦਾ
All ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th annual Women's Conference, Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoLadyGlobal.org. Music Minister, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon, Queenie, Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe. Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK
Open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it, you're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out.
He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of digging the hole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019,
forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Body, it's your man. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harrison, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And I sabi you know, just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
At work.
at home,
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I know your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you're listening to Starr Radio UK and the morning show.
This is Starr Radio UK.
are listening to Star Radio Morning Show.
Thinking about the way you love me, and I'm just lost for words. I'm just standing here thinking about the way.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Is a spiritual love affair. Now I just need you to clap your hands like that. Is a spiritual love affair. Everybody say. You just say ooh, ooh, okay. Is a spiritual love affair. Say. I can't see your Bible. Just get your groove on. Spiritual love affair. Everybody say. Whoa, yeah.
This is Starr Radio UK.
The best radio show.
Star Radio. Radio for the people, by the
Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me, and I will open up my heart, let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in your truth, and I will daily lift my hands. I will always sing when your love keeps down.
Okay, let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. And as of you on other planets as well, we want to salute you all and welcome you to the Wednesday edition of the morning show. Today is the 29th day of June, the year 2022, with the time now 10:42 from the hearts of London. And let me take this opportunity to say good morning to the team this morning. Mr. Frank Davis working in the background, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, and Mr. Francis Gaye, my able producer. I salute you all, gentlemen. To all presenters on Star Radio UK, KB, and all the team, I say massive good morning to you as well. Yes, I will sing of your love forever. The love that you have for us that makes you always tune in to listen to us and listen to me, watch me wherever you might be. Though, those of you in Africa, as I say all the time, causing you an arm and a leg, yet you continue to do so religiously. And I salute you. I duck my heart for you. From a cassette brain bone for you, singing of his love. Okay, now let me say good morning to my brother Felix all the way in Aberdeen, Mr. Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin. Massive good morning to you, Mr. Malik Dramani Mahama, Mr. David Kluche, David Chale. I need to call you after the program. And then Dr. Martin, good morning to you, Mr. Kate Yorson, good morning. Ajua Boge, good morning to you. Nobody knows who I'm talking about. Mama Lynn, good morning. I hope you are doing very, very well as well. Amaya Jergene, good morning. Anthony Adedaji, all the way in the USA. Good morning to you, Anthony. Casino in Moscow. And to all you wonderful people listening to us from across the globe, wherever you might be, I salute you. Okay, so if it's the first time of tuning in on a Wednesday to watch us or listen to us, whichever is appropriate, well, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update as well. We'll move on to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. And then from there, we continue to look at some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria.
Like that.
Where the updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki will be joining us. And then from there, we continue to look at some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. As I say all the time, from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, if it's making the headline, why not? I promise you I'm going to touch on it. At 11:30 exactly, the lines will be open for you to add your voice to the discussions. But before then, post your comments on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, and I promise to read that. So we continue from there, and then exactly at 12 o'clock, we'll take you straight to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So this and a lot more going to be coming your way today on Starr Radio UK. For those of you who it's the first time of tuning in to listen to us or watch me, I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me, and I will open up my heart, let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in your truth.
Okay, let's crack on.
I will always sing when your love came down.
Yeah, I'm gonna sing of your love forever.
You know it, everybody sing.
Starr Radio UK. The quote for the day says successful people will work longer hours than the average person when it comes to their priorities. So they will go on and on and on and on and on. Like I know somebody who does that. When he sits by his computer, he goes on and on and on. No comments. Okay, good morning to you. And to every one of you. You want to successful? Yes, you have to go the extra mile. Okay. Now let's move on straight to the weather front. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather forecast for today. I was coming in. It was all a bit dull weather. And then the next moment, it just tipped down raining like no man's business. But well, I was at my destination, so I couldn't be bothered any longer. Okay, but this afternoon I'm going to be seeing mostly dry with long sunny spells for the rest of the day, although the chance of the odd shower cannot be ruled out. Now tonight we'll see cloud gradually build in from the south and become largely cloudy by midnight, along with the chance of the odd spells of light rain. However, skies will tend to clear towards dawn. The total temperature is going to be 23 degrees, the lower is going to be 13 degrees. Pollen level is going to be high, UV level is going to be moderate, and pollution is going to be low. Sunset's 21. Sunrise for tomorrow morning, 04:46 hours. That brings us to the end of the weather forecast. It is your Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 10:48 the time. Okay, let's take a quick break. We come back. Don't you worry. I'll bring you the rest of this song. Singing of the love of God forever. Don't you worry about it. I will let you do so. But let's go straight to the roads. Let's see what is happening there.
Check it out.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads. I'm keeping updated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio UK travel update that comes your way every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:48. So what is on your travel this morning? Now, those of you on the underground, minor delays due to an earlier fire alert at Baker Street. That is on the second line. On the district line as well, severe delays between Edgware Road and High Street, Kensington, due to an earlier fire alert at Baker Street. Good service on the rest of the line though. And then on the Hammersmith and the City lines, minor delays eastbound while they respond to a fire alert at Baker Street. And then we have the same thing on Metropolitan line as well, severe delays due to a fire alert. So the fire alert is affecting a few of the lines there, Piccadilly as well. So check before you leave. When it comes to the others, good service there. But DLR has got severe delays between Custom House and Beckton while they fix a track fault at Cyprus. And tickets will be accepted on London buses via any reasonable routes. Not Cyprus where Linda Pallion is. Cyprus here in London. We got our own Cyprus, right? Yes. London Overground, good service, and London Tramlink has also got some strike actions there, so please check before you leave. Now, on the major roads in London, A1, A4, A40, A41, Central London Red Roads, North Circular, A406 have all got closures, and South Circular, A205 closures there as well. But keep your eyes on the roads, I'm keeping updated, I promise I'm born. Now, moving on straight to the Riverbar this morning. On the Riverbar, apart from the Woolwich Ferry that's got special service, all the others have got good what? Service. Now let's move on to the final segment of the travel update. That's the National Rail. On the National Rail this morning, Northern Rail has got minor delays. Southeastern Special Service, Southern minor delays, and Thameslink minor delays there as well. And as you know, I will say it once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK on your screens at the moment. Well, this evening exactly at 18 hours GMT or 18 hours Lagos time or 18 hours UK time or GMT plus 1. Okay. 18 hours BST, okay, GMT plus 1. Mr. Olayomi Koiki will be hosting again the Niger Voices, and he will be having as his guest Bishop Adeyemo Adeshina. Well, what are they going to be talking about? They are looking at the topic Yoruba Nation self-defense is your legal right. Do you feel that you need to defend yourself when people are being kidnapped and all sorts going on in that part of the world? Well, you want to know more? Join Olayomi Koiki exactly at 18 hours BST. That's British Summer Time. Okay then. Now let's move on to some of the stories that is making the rounds this morning, as you know, for global or on global trotting. Well, some of the stories that we'll be looking when it comes to Nigeria is aggrieved aspirants reject INEC list. Begin multiple court cases. Well, I've been asking the question: will the 2023 elections in Nigeria hold, or were these aggrieved aspirants throwing their the INEC, taking the INEC to court? Would we see different rulings, and especially having a new CJN? Are we going to see a new brew of a judgment coming in that will, stop the country from conducting this 2023 elections? What do you think about that? Okay, why Tinubu deserves to succeed Buhari? Yoruba actors have put some statement there. We'll talk about that. But somebody will say he's eating in the same kitchen with him. So what is different? Same old. Yes, another day. All right then. It is Starr Radio UK. 6 minutes to the top of the hour. A lot more going to be coming your way from there. But if you want to know more, then make sure you join me, Olayomi Koiki, at 6 hours, 18 hours or 6 p.m. UK time on Niger Voices. But moving on straight to some of the other stories making the round. Yesterday, the demonstration that took place in Accra, the Rise Ghana protest, 29 demonstrators arrested and organizers to be picked up. Now, if you followed that incident that took place in Accra, where the judge ruled that they should confine the protest to a particular area, and people are fuming, people are angry, people are aggrieved with whatever thing that is going on, the way the country is being run, the economy, blah 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 blah, and therefore want a way to vent their anger, get them to a particular place, guide them, don't trust, they're accusing the demonstrator of throwing or hurling stones at the police. But we'll come to all that in a moment. Wherever you are, don't touch the dial at all. Now, moving into other parts of the world as well, because it's a Wednesday edition of the morning show where we are pressed with time. XA paints devastating picture of Trump. Now, enraged president tried to grab the steering wheel to direct his limousine to the capital, X8 says. Wow. And then Maxwell sentenced to 20 years over sex trafficking. Ghislaine Maxwell told victims she had helped Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse. She was sorry for their pain. And then singer R. Kelly faces long sentence for sex crimes. Now, the disgraced pop star will be sentenced on Wednesday after being found guilty of sex trafficking. Well, so a lot more coming from that part of the world as well. Moving on straight to the UK, because it's the Wednesday edition of the morning show. We cramp everything together and just push it down the drain. All right, no, not the drain. We put it and share it on air. All right then. Now, cancer campaigner Dame Deborah James Dice, the 40-year-old host of You, Me and the Big C, was diagnosed with bowel cancer in 2016, and she has passed on. May her soul rest in perfect peace. And it be a lesson to us all, so that knowing this, we'll make sure that we go check ourselves out. Okay, whatever cancer is that, especially when it comes to Africans, when it comes to the women, this breast cancer thing, and just go and check, and then they don't want to. I'm like, come on, just go and check it. If you are okay, you are okay. You have the peace of mind to get on with it. But when you don't know and you are just assuming, well, we'll be talking more about that as well. Zara believed walking home should be safe. That's what the family of Zara Alena are saying. And Putin wouldn't have invaded if he were a woman. That's what the Prime Minister is saying. Do you agree with that? With him, apologies, that women, if women are cool-headed than men. That's why he tends to say that the ego that is with men, that, I'm going to show somebody that, I'm also there. That's what has pushed Putin to do this. We're going to be looking into more of those stories. But let me say good morning to JJ Ishola. JJ, I hope you are doing very well. So congratulations. God bless Yoruba Nation, and congratulations to you as well for joining Star Radio UK this morning on this platform. Well, a lot more going to be coming your way. Don't you go away. Enjoy this song, the rest of this song. Sing of the love of God and sing of the love of Star Radio UK for you too. Enjoy.
Hey, over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me, and I will open up my heart. Let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in your truth, and I will daily lift my hands. I will always sing when your love came down.
This is Starr Radio UK.
You know it, everybody sing. And I will open up my heart. Let the
Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, that is something from Akese Brimpong. Sing of the love forever. We will sing of the love of God forever, of course, but for God, where will we have been? Yesterday, I shared some WhatsApp message video on some of my platforms, and especially on my Facebook as well, and I shared it with a couple of people, my close friends. And this pertains to the way black Africans are being treated at Morocco. Well, Facebook have decided that, well, because it's the image or the video might offend some people, so they're going to be covering it, and that's why I've not put it on the platform this morning. But when I looked at that, when I watched that video, now if you want me to send it to you, let me know. I will send it to you directly. I will inbox you, or if you send me your contact detail, I will forward that to you. We're gonna look at the case where these people, why? Because they want to embark on traveling to to Europe. So the Moroccan authorities arrest these people, throw them on the floor like animals, kicking them, and using what binding their hands behind their backs. Now, back in the day when there was even slave trade, I don't think people were treated that way. The way these people, and somebody kicking the heads of people, there were people oozing with blood, bleeding. And I asked myself the question, so when our leaders sit in our countries and then decide that, oh well, somebody decide that they want to fly in an aircraft that they've rented or hired that is costing so much so, and others they just wasting state funds. Those who go to sign contracts, go and negotiate contracts, go and negotiate rubbish because they are lining their pockets with the profits that they are making out of it. Then I ask myself the question, is it not time that our people rise up against our leaders and tell them to sit up or get out? Now, what do you think about that? It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. JJ, I will send it to you in a moment. But like I said, this evening is all going to be happening live. Olayomi Koiki will be bringing you Niger Voices, and we'll be hosting Bishop Adeyemo Adeshina. They'll be looking at Yoruba Nation. Self-defense is your legal right. Do you think that Yoruba Nation, if that part of the world is all calm, people are going about their duties, and if the oil revenue, the proceeds, is being used judiciously, do you think people want to travel out of that place and be trying to cross the desert and going to some place being treated like animals? My goodness. Well, it's Starr Radio UK. We'll take a break. We'll wait for Mr. Olayomi Koiki to join in, and I'll bring you the updates from Nigeria. So stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. On your flyer at the moment, or on your screens at the moment, those of you who are watching us live, there's a flyer for tonight's Niger Voices, where Mr. Olayomi Koiki will be bringing you as his guest, Bishop Adeyemo Adeshina, and they'll be talking about Yoruba Nation self-defense is your legal right. Is it? You think it's yours? Can you afford it? Well, we're going to be looking into all that in the next few moments. But Yomi, I can't see you. I can't see you. I don't know whether he stood up to turn something around. Okay, let's wait for him. He should be joining us in. Okay. And JJ, I will send you the WhatsApp in the next moment. Please let me just finish with this update and I will try to do that. And JJ, what is your area code? Because I wasn't sure the 090. I wasn't sure which area, which country that would be, and then I'll get the area code. So please, JJ. All right then. Okay, thank you very much, JJ. All right then. Now we've got Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who is on. But interestingly, okay, let me see what is happening here. Let me see. Yomi, don't worry. I can see you. Then you vanish. Then you appear again. Yeah, you've appeared now. That's good. Oh, okay, it's Nigeria. Okay. JJ, thank you. I'll do that. All right then. So let me go to Yomi. Yomi, good morning to you.
Well, it is a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the globe. And we say welcome to Starr Radio UK. It is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. 29th of June 2022, 9 minutes past, and we do not have the time this morning, so we're going to do it as quickly as possible.
Yes. How are you doing and how is the family?
Well, the family are doing very well. Looking at the window, I'm not sure whether there is rain on the other side of where you are, but just looking at the window, it's been raining in the last an hour plus. Still a little bit tired as usual because there was a long conversation yesterday on the Yoruba Nation with another interview that we had with our guest through the media, Chief Mrs. Modukwa Abiola. And that took us up to the bit of late night. But as usual, we're back again this morning to deliver the question. And I'm sure you probably must have picked the news that Scotland is also demanding, asking for a referendum by Nicola Sturgeon. So we had a bit of conversation on that yesterday after the morning show with some of our listeners. just to be able to link that a little bit with the ongoing self-determination back in Nigeria.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you. Now, Yomi, a quick one before we move on to the conversation that we have today. Yesterday, I shared that video with you, and I know that you might have watched it later on. I mean, looking at the black Africans. Now, we will talk about Ghanaians, we talk about Nigerians, we talk about those in the West African area who, because of the way our government are treating us, people think that the best way forward is to just leave the country, and they get to some place like Morocco, and the way they were being treated like animals. What is your reaction to that, and the reaction to the way our governments are treating us?
Well, the reaction has literally generated a lot of conversation, and I actually saw that the United Nations is now requesting a probe to 23 lives, innocent Africans. We do believe that some of them are also Nigerians that are trying to look for a better life, a greener pasture. I was listening to another self-determination presenter known as Simon Ekpa yesterday, and he said the reason why people were being stopped is the moment you are able to cross to Europe, you also start looking at Europe and then demanding your own full right to what is happening back in African countries. So that means they will do everything to stop a lot of Africans from crossing over. I mean, those that came in with a visa, which I was telling some of our listeners this morning before I came on air, that we might not even understand, the threat to life that those that have to go through the road. I mean, people like us came in through, an aircraft. So that means we were fed in the aircraft. We landed at immigration. They asked the question, and we were allowed in. Compared to all many people that have died, we're talking about children, adult mothers, and some family are still in the hope that their loved ones are in Europe, not knowing they've died in the Mediterranean Sea. Watching that video makes me cry, especially when you think about the amount of money that have been taken out of Africa, and yet so many Africans are suffering because of the negligence of a failed government.
Well, listeners, that's a sad story there. As I said, I can't put it on our broadcast, because if I put it there, they are going to block the broadcast. Yes, okay. Just bear with us whilst Mr. Olayomi Koiki. So I can't put it there, and that is why. But if you inbox us, we will send or we share that information with you there. But it's All Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's look at some of the stories making the rounds. Now, first and foremost, will the 2023 election hold at all? Yomi.
With the 2023 election hold at all, it looks like you're right in my mind, because I did ask the question, to some of my listeners, whether those that disagree, or if we even remove, the agitation that is currently ongoing in Nigeria. Nigeria, as it is right now, is really, really unstable, and that means the chances of whether the government will allow a 2023 election to go ahead with the time frame that we have is something that should be of concern to so many of us. We were in the ground, Starr Radio UK, just before that election, the last one in 2019, and we saw that a lot happened that we reported back before I came back again to UK. But the question you've asked is, will 2023 election hold? I would say the 2023 election will definitely not hold, because the government itself, from intelligence, will come out with the military, and there will be a coup just before that time.
Yeah, we hope to see what is going to happen. We'll be monitoring it very, very closely. But we are pressed with time already. We've got it's now 1:15. But so why are the candidates actually taking the INEC on board, taking the INEC to court? And again, the question is: is there going to be any different ruling when it comes to the courts? Because we know every time the court rules in favor of government, so the INEC, which is supposed to be an independent body, yet working hand in hand with government, they are the ones going to get the verdict in their favor. So what is it?
Well, as more Nigerians are, getting their PVC, in the hope that an election will come through, that will be peaceful. There's also aggrieved aspirant that reject INEC list and now begin multiple court cases. That is the headline. The list of candidates contesting the 2023 elections have sparked multiple court cases by the aggrieved aspirant in many of the states. So that means that already each of these political party, whether the Labour Party, the APC, the PDP, or any other, which mostly is most of the two major party, because there's always a compromise, in who the aspirant will be. So what we are looking at is some of the states where the aggrieved aspirant are challenging the list include Ogun State. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Ogun State. We were a witness to that, in 2019 when we traveled home, where the current senator, that was the former governor, Amosun, was, supporting a different candidate to the party, and that also created a lot of, pressure, where the vice president, had to travel back and forth to Ogun State. So Ogun State is already on the list this morning. Gombe, Plateau, Akwa Ibom, Benue, Kano, and Taraba. Some of the aspirants faulted the list submitted by the parties and published by the Independent National Electoral Commission. So that means political parties had on June 17 submitted on the commission the list of their candidates, and definitely those that they thought were meant to be in that list found themselves missing, just as this has happened when you have an exam where you're expecting a result to get into the university. Your name will be on the list, but be rest assured that your name will not be there for the final push.
Wonderful. Now, so well, are they supporters of the? Okay, because there are other sprinter groups. Are they vying to be presidential candidates, or they just looking?
Not literally presidential candidate. I mean, that one I believe is already sorted out. Apart from the running mate that the APC still waiting for. The PDP are able to sort themselves out. Let's go back again to Ogun State as an example. Sonia Akindele, the media aide to Senator Tolu Odebeyi, who lost the Ogun West senatorial primary to the incumbent senator representing the Lagos West, Olamilekan Adeola. This is a man that has been, a senator in the constituency of Alimosho. He has done his best there, for those that believe he's doing his best, but those that think that he's not doing his best. But he's now moved to Ogun State, where he wants to contest as well. So you can see that, the politicians are never satisfied. And that means, Akindele said Senator Debbie is challenging the case in the court. There was an injunction before the primary election stopping Yayi from partaking. Like I said, Lagos as Alimosho is one of the biggest local government in Lagos State, and that was exactly where Star Radio UK did a bit of observation during the presidential election. When we traveled down. Let's look at another state as an example. If we go back to again, there's another issue in Ogun State, the House of Representatives. Jim Ojugbele is challenging a former commissioner for forestry, Tunji Akinose, whose name is on the INEC list. So you can see that it's not from the presidential aspect, it's from the local one, from the House of Rep and the senatorial ticket.
Well, if you are listening to us, the question is, do you think the election 2023 is going to hold at all? Or as Yomi is saying that there might be some coup d'etat saying that, well, there's unrest in the country and therefore we're taking over and then nothing will happen. What is going to happen? We want to know your take. What do you think about it? Well, it's Star Radio UK. Now let's hop on straight. Now we know one thing that is troubling the country is insecurity. And we're talking about the fact that these bandits, though that they are calling bandits, should not be called bandits. They should be called terrorists, so that they will be, treated accordingly. Now the Matawale has approved death penalty for bandits, signs anti-banditry bill. The law also provides that anyone found guilty of aiding and abetting will be liable to life or 20 or 10 years imprisonment without option of a fine. So it is quite a strong one. Do you think he's gone far enough and that will deter people, these bandits or banditry in the country or the state?
Well, before that, let's listen to what a repentant bandit, as we've been told, but this is what the late Dr. Malafia had to tell us before he died.
As and the truth. And let me make some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence networks.
Okay.
Have met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders. One or two who have repented. They have sat down with us, not once, not twice. They told us that one of the northern governors is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Boko Haram and the bandits are one and the same thing. They have a sophisticated network. During this lockdown, their planes were moving up and down as though there was no lockdown. Moving ammunitions, moving logistics, moving money, and distributing them in different parts of the country. They're already in the south, in the rainforest of the south. They're everywhere. They told us that when they finish these rural killings, they will move to phase 2. The phase 2 is they will go into the urban cities, going from house to house, killing prominent people. I can tell you, this is the game plan. By 2022, they want to start a civil war in Nigeria. Don't joke with what I'm saying. I have a PhD from Oxford University. I'm a central banker. We don't talk nonsense.
Okay, he doesn't talk nonsense, but may so rest in perfect peace. So what the governor is actually saying, Matawale has now approved a death penalty for those known as bandits, but from what we know, they are the same, whether it's a bandit, Boko Haram, or the ISIS or the ISWAP. Signs this anti-banditry bill. The law also approves that anyone found guilty of aiding and abetting will be liable to more than 10 to 20 years imprisonment without an option of a fine. Governor Bello Matawale on Tuesday signed these into the law. The law which came into force with immediate effect as the death penalty for convicts are related to in Zamfara state. Why is this? Because we have seen continuous attack on innocent Nigerians, not just in that axis, but in almost every part of the country. How the government, in terms of the federal, will react to this is something else, because we do know there's a lot of compromise when it comes to the current security architect in Nigeria that has enabled, these terrorists to become more powerful in the country.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Because of our time, so we'll just move on straight to some of the others, and then we can talk about what is going to happen on Niger Voices tonight. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, it looks like we would apply diplomatic pressure to help Ike Ekeremadu. That is coming from, the reps this morning, as definitely as one of them. They will do everything. The House of Representatives has resolved to intervene in the organ harvesting case in the United Kingdom involving a former deputy president of the Senate, Senator Ike Ekeremadu, and his wife Beatrice, urging the British authority to handle the case fairly. Is it not interesting that the same House of Rep is not telling the British to handle the case of Nnamdi Kanu fairly, but they are talking about one of them that has now been alleged of organ harvesting? But like I always say, let's allow the British law to do the needful, as we know. So we're just going to take one more because of the time, but later on tonight we will have ample of time to look at so many other issues and areas of the news coming out of Nigeria. So the one that we're going to take is Ohadize IPOB kicks as court dismissed Kanu bail application. It was appearing in the court yesterday. It's still as strong as you might want to think, even though almost a year after he was kidnapped, rendition back to Nigeria, he doesn't seem to have lost his hope in terms of his belief for the actualization of the the Biafra self-determination, which again is a peaceful one, even though the government doesn't believe so. This is what he had to say from the court yesterday.
What should I do? What should I do? So what we expect to happen. But I want our people to be very calm. I want Biafra land to be calm and peaceful. calm and very, very peaceful. We are fighting to defend our people, not to kill them. We are fighting to defend them. That's why I'm here. And we'll continue to do so until we get freedom.
Well, until it gets freedom. So I think some of when, somebody like this talks, it gets, the government very angry, but they have no choice. He has to speak to people when he arrives in the court, even though they've not given him a bail condition application, which they believe is a flight risk. But what he said is, we will continue. The reason why I am being kept in this custody of the government is because of what he believes in. He says to the Biafrans, he wants the Biafra land to be calm, and the actualization of a Biafra nation is non-negotiable.
Well,
so according to what the Onhaise are saying is they disagree, with what has happened, when they couldn't get a bill for Nnamdi Kanu. The case will be coming back again in November, but Justice Inyako, while dismissing the motion, upheld the arrest warrant against the Self and IPOB leader. The court said Kanu, who jump bail granted him on health ground, cannot turn around to make allegation of lack of fear of hearing. Justice Inyako held the court was adequately represented in the court when the federal government applied for warrant of arrest, and that is Shorty, Senator Enyin Naya Aberibe was also in the court as well. So it was a full court hearing yesterday, but the Ohanaeze has kicks against it. The secretary to the southeast zone of Ohanaeze, Chief Dem Okeke Ogani, has attributed the court verdict to Buhari's statement. Remember, the president spoke about Nnamdi Kanu to Boris Johnson, that giving him a bill, it will be a flight risk.
Yeah. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is Wednesday edition of the morning show, and therefore, you know that we wouldn't have enough time for you. But, well, this evening is all going to be happening live. Yomi, you have, let me put a flyer there. We have the one and only Bishop Adeyemo Adeshina. Yes. Who is going to be your guest. And you are looking at Yoruba Nation self-defense. It's your legal right. So what is he going to be talking about there?
Well, as we know, the ongoing killings in Nigeria, the death rate that continue because of the lack of support from the government. So tonight at exactly 1800 hours, myself and my guest will address some of these issues. Self-defense as a legal right in the fraudulent Nigerian constitution, self-defense as a vital right from religious perspective from the Bible, self-defense as a universal civil right from the United Nations Charter Agreement. And all these will be part of the conversation tonight with my guest. We will want as many people to join us, especially those that are concerned of whether their safety is something that the government must protect, or they would also have to do a protection against themselves. All that I'll be looking when I have my guest with me later on, this evening at about 1800 hours, which is 6 p.m. local time in Nigeria and the local time here, BST time.
Okay, listeners, so that is it for you. Let me say thank you very much to Mr. Olayomi Koiki. But remember, this evening he's going to be with you, bringing you Niger voices and having a special guest, Bishop Adeyemo Adeshina. And they are looking at security, self-defense. Woo! All right, do you qualify for that or not? Make sure you make a date with Yomi. Yomi, thank you very much.
Have a very good morning and bye for now.
Bye-bye. All right then, now let's quickly take a commercial break. Once we come back, we'll look at some of the other stories making the rounds. As I said, exactly at 12 o'clock, I'll be taking you to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. But let me open the lines. It is 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208-133-2257 or 58. Now, if you happen to be in the US, Canada, the Caribbean area, it is 0017183032737 0017183032737. You can also text or WhatsApp us. It is 0753-966-1744 0753-966-1744. Our Twitter handle is @Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. make sure your dials are still logged on us. You can post your comments there on our Facebook page, and I promise you I'm going to read that as well. So as many of you who have joined us on the YouTube as well, on the Facebook and on the YouTube as well, I salute each and every one of you. I say thank you. Anthony, I hope you are doing very, very well. And Anthony is in the US. Yes, Anthony, say I got it right. Okay, yes. So make sure your dials are still logged on Starr Radio UK. All right then. Okay, no other comments. Okay, Olayomi Kilanko. So Gabi, it's a good morning, Starr Radio UK. Archie, Frank, Olayomi, and the fans. Good morning to you as well. It says MNK is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a very strong humanitarian and activist who loves his people. She goes on further to say, I cannot wait to see and hear the courageous Bishop Adeyemo. So make a date exactly at 18 hours this afternoon or this evening when that program will be coming your way with Mr. Olayomi Koiki on the Niger Voices. All right then. It is Starr Radio UK. Now let's quickly have a look at some of the other stories making the rounds, but after this break, as I did say.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Whole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019,
forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's a Wednesday edition of the morning show, you know, so we are pressed with time, but we'll be flying like no man's business. Yeah, with me in the helm, you'll be rest assured of one thing, that yes, you arrive at your destination in peace, not pieces. All right then. So, some of the other stories making the round this morning. Yes, in Ghana, Arise Ghana, there are the protests that went on. And I'm looking at that, line in line with what the video that I'm talking about. JJ, I'm going to send you once I come off air. That is just after 12, please. Thank you very much. Yes, and looking at the way they were all blacks, you know, blacks, and therefore, where do they come from? Predominantly, we know Ghanaians, Nigerians, those in that West African area like traveling. They love to travel. They want to better themselves up. But we see our leaders who have failed us, and therefore people don't have the choice. It's like the leper's theory. If we stay here, we die. If we go, maybe we will die. But if we don't die, we are able to get something for ourselves and we will survive. And that seems to be what these people, because of that, they decide to travel. Because they look at the situation. Take somebody who is living in Nigeria, looking at the situation that is happening there now. What do you think he should do? They have completed university, or those who are saying universities, they cannot graduate because what? The lecturers are on strike. Do you blame the lecturers? Somebody say they are demanding too much. Well, look at the wages of senators and all those people there. So, are they being fair to them? Okay, and these people travel and look at the way they are being treated like animals. People just stepping on their heads, kicking people, binding their hands behind them. I'm like, gosh. Okay, but the Ghana Police Service have arrested 29 persons in connection with Tuesday's demonstration by Arise Ghana. The protests, which turned chaotic, saw police and protesters exchanging stones and tear gas during a standoff in the afternoon. The protesters who were demonstrating against the worsening economic hardship in the country were accused by the police of trying to use unapproved routes. However, the group insisted that the state security agency was being used as a means to foil their attempt to voice their concerns against the Akufo-Addo-led administration. And the police were also seen arresting people while the unrest ensued. Now, Right Ghana conveners shaking responsibility for their role in police protests. In a subsequent statement confirming the arrest, the police service explained that the 29 people who were currently in custody were involved in orchestrating attacks against officers and some school children. How true is that? Now, available video footages of the event are being reviewed, and all other persons identified for taking part in the attacks as well as inciting the violence will be arrested and brought to face justice, the statement added. Now, according to the statement, the organizers of the demonstration will be arrested and put before court for the attacks and damage to public property in line with provision of Section 3 of the Public Order Act. Now, meanwhile, Deputy Minister for Information Fatimatu Abubakar says it appears the conveners of the Right Ghana demonstration are shaking their responsibilities when it comes to the role they played in the violence. What did they do? What role did they play there? Well, it is all coming your way from Star Radio UK. Some of the stories making the rounds in Ghana. Okay, now moving on straight to some other stories there as well. Just bear with me, a couple of them, and then we'll quickly move on to other parts of the world as well. Now, Nana Akumia, Director of Communications, says that I only communicated the party's position when I was Director of Communications, says Akumia. Now, pressure mounts on government to rescue the economy. The former director of communications of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akomia, has expressed disappointment about the failure of his party to address the main challenges it promised to solve when it comes to power. He said he always feels embarrassed whenever an audio visual of himself, Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia or President Akufo-Addo is played back to show some of the promises made that have not been fulfilled. In a program, Akomia indicated that even though he feels embarrassed, persons who were appointed to lead the various sectors of Ghana's economy should be held accountable for their failure of the NPP to fulfill the promises it made to Ghanaians. Now, when I come and sit here and you play pronouncements that were previously made by the president and the vice president, I am embarrassed because these are not propaganda. They are things that we said we would do. Now, we have to ask those who are in charge why the government have failed to attain its promise. Now, because the things we said we will do, there are sectors and there are people in charge. There have been people in charge of agriculture in the previous government that we said were not doing well anytime when food prices went up. There were people in Ghana in charge as well of finance, and anytime the cedi fell, we said they were not doing well. There are people still in charge of these sectors, he said. So what? Is it calling them a failure? And then, if it's calling them a failure, what should the government do about it? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, the former Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, Seth Tepe, has said that, well, the finance minister or the government should approach IMF to stop economic mismanagement. So we'll be looking into that story in a moment. And Asante Youth to sponsor 47 candidates in 2024 over MPP's failures. How is that going to pan out for them? This all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. The former Minister for Finance, Seth Tepe, says the government needs a credible source of support like the International Monetary Fund in the management of Ghana's economy. According to him, for a nation to see economic prosperity, the government either has to engage in the prudent management of the economy or in partnership with a body which is more credible. He said, your government own revenue is being wasted on big agenda items. And mind you, the fact that the money is being spent out of the budget on the cathedral and other things which are coming out now, it does not add positively to our story, because it means that the budget is not reflecting the expenditure. So at least if you have the IMF in, who is a big shot and therefore will be seeing to regulating whatever government is doing, then you are sure that the IMF will say, no, you cannot spend some of your budget on the cathedral, or you cannot spend some of your budget on maybe some party, whatever thing that you'll be doing. Well, so it goes on further to say, so all that analyst has to do is to take the amount that we spent outside the budget and add it to the budget numbers, and you will get a new deficit figure, which is much higher because the money came from revenue, unless of course the revenue was also not recorded. Mr. Tepe reiterated that it takes a long period of time for a nation to have prudent economic management in place. But is Ghana ready for that action? That is the question everybody seemed to be asking this morning. And is the Ghanaian government prudent enough? Would they? Wouldn't they? After all, they are saying that, well, when it came to the e-levy, it's not realized the ambitions or the dreams that they were having. So what do you think? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. On the African continent still, senior Libyan officials hold UN led talks on arrangement for elections. Well, that is the elections that they decided that the former leader, Muammar Gaddafi's son, will not be allowed to run. Well, two senior Libyan officials on Tuesday began talks on constitutional arrangement for elections in the latest UN efforts to bridge a gap between the country's rivals. The meeting of Aguila Saleh, the influential parliament speaker, and Khalid al-Mashri, head of the Tripoli-based government Supreme Council of State, has taken place at the UN headquarters in Geneva. It goes on further to say, according to the United Nations, the talks will focus on a draft constitutional framework for elections after Libya's rival faction failed to reach an agreement in their last round of talks in the Egyptian capital of Cairo. The criteria for presidential candidacy were a contentious point in the talks, according to Libyan media. The Tripoli-based council insisted on banning military personnel from running for the country's top post, apparently a move directed to at the divisive commander Khalifa Haftar, whose forces are loyal to the East-based administration. Haftar had announced his bid in elections slated for last December, but the vote was not held because of the myriad issues, including controversial hopefuls who had announced bids and disputes about election laws. Well, it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In other parts of the world, now, ex-aide of the then President Donald Trump has said, well, his boss went a bit cuckoos. Now, up until now, the Congressional Committee investigating the 6th January attack on the Capitol was missing the key piece of the puzzle, the testimony of someone who could offer a first-hand account of the situation in the White House in the hours before and during the attack. Now, Cassidy Hutchinson, a former top aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, filled in the blanks. She has painted a devastating picture, including an allegation which Trump denies, that he tried to grab the steering wheel of the car he was traveling in and wrestled with a secret service officer in an attempt to divert his motorcade to the Capitol where his supporters were gathering. Very early in their proceedings, the committee went to length to establish how the White House and the president himself knew that there was a very real threat of violence on the 6th of January and did nothing to stop it. Now, Ms. Hutchinson testified that Mr. Meadows told her he thought days before the attack that things might get real bad. Now, she spoke of how White House officials were warned of the potential of violence, and in perhaps the most damning testimony so far, she said Donald Trump personally knew that members of the crowd at his morning rally near the White House were armed because they were being turned away by Secret Service officers and directed them to the Capitol anyway. In a quote, she said, "I don't expletive care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me." Miss Hutchinson said she heard the president say, "Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here." So he knew they were armed. He said, well, they were not coming against him. He knew who or where their target was. Now, do you think that Donald Trump should be disqualified from the next election, never to hold that high office of the country? Well, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, tributes have been pouring in for Dame Deborah James, who lost the fight against cancer. Tributes paid to unfalteringly brave cancer campaigner Dame Deborah James. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have paid tribute to cancer campaigner, broadcaster, and former teacher Dame Deborah James, who had died aged 40. They joined celebrities, politicians, and people living with cancer in praising the inspirational and unfortunately brave mother of two. Now, she had been receiving end-of-life care for bowel cancer at home and had raised millions for cancer research. Now, Dame Deborah's family said she was amazing and an inspiration. They announced her death in a post on her Instagram page. We are deeply saddened to announce the death of Dame Deborah James, the most amazing wife, daughter, sister, mommy. It said she passed away peacefully, surrounded by her family. Her family said Dame Deborah shared her experience of cancer to raise awareness, break down barriers, challenge taboos, and change the conversation around cancer. Even in her most challenging moments, her determination to raise money and awareness was inspiring. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Writing on a Twitter, Prince William and Catherine said, Deborah was an inspirational and unfaltering, brave woman whose legacy will live on. Now, the host of BBC, You, Me, and the Big C broadcast was first diagnosed with bowel cancer in 2016 and was given damehood in May in recognition of her fundraising. Now, Prince William visited her at her parents' home in Woking, Surrey, to deliver it. He praised her tireless efforts and thanked her for giving hope to those living with the disease. For her part, Dame Deborah said William's visit was surreal. You can imagine the cleaning antics and preparation went off the scale, but it was all irrelevant because William was so kind, she said. And that is a very sad one there, and we say may her soul rest in perfect peace. And as I've said, those of us living in this part of the world who have everything when it comes to health, you when they're calling you for what this test and whatever thing that you have to do, go see your GP. Please get there and go and do it. It's better to do that than rather to stay in your rooms and say that you are praying about it. Okay, well, Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years in a U.S. prison for helping former financier Jeffrey Epstein abuse young girls. Maxwell, 60, was convicted in December of recruiting and trafficking 4 teenage girls for sexual abuse by Epstein, her then boyfriend. One of her accusers said outside the court in New York that she should stay in prison for the rest of her life. Epstein killed himself in a Manhattan cell in 2019. He had been awaiting his own sex traffic trial. Ghislaine Maxwell's crime took place over a decade between 1994 and 2004. Pronouncing the sentence, Judge Allison said Maxwell's conduct had been heinous and predatory. Well, it is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, interestingly, Yomi did touch on that briefly. Election win could trigger Scottish independence, says Sturgeon. So, Scotland could become independent if the SNP won a majority of votes in the UK election, Nicola Sturgeon has said. Now, the First Minister wants a referendum in 2023 and is pushing for the Supreme Court to rule on a bill to set this up. Now, if this does not happen, she said, the SNP will treat the next general election as a de facto referendum. The UK government has said it will look at the Scottish government proposal, but stressed now is not the time for another referendum. It has also said that it was clear the union was a matter reserved to Westminster. The First Minister said that independence could only happen if a majority of people vote for that proposition. Ms. Sturgeon said if the UK Supreme Court ruled that there was no lawful route for the Scottish government to hold an independence referendum, and if the UK government continued to refuse to pass on the power to hold a referendum, then the general election becomes, as far as I'm concerned, the de facto referendum. The First Minister added, of course, as a matter of principle, Scotland will only become independent when majority vote for it. So they're not going to push it down the throat of the Scottish, but they are saying that if majority vote for it. But what is going to happen to Nigeria when it comes 2023 in that election? What will happen there to them as well? It's going to be quite interesting. Will they use the election as a de facto referendum? Would that reflect the take of the Yoruba people and the Biafrans? What is going to happen there? I want to know what your thoughts are about this. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. One final story, and then we'll be taking you to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. Okay, a couple of it. My apologies. Now, the Prime Minister is saying that Putin, has it been a woman, would not have invaded Ukraine. So the women, hands up, hands up, hands up. What do you think about that? Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin would not have invaded Ukraine if he were a woman, Boris Johnson has claimed. Is it that women reflect a lot, or men do reflect a lot? Who takes knee-jerk reaction or knee-jerk action? Now, the UK Prime Minister said the crazy macho invasion was a perfect example of toxic masculinity, and he called for more women in position of power. But Downing Street said there was not a deliberate policy to publicly belittle Mr. Putin. Now, Mr. Johnson's comment come ahead of NATO's meeting where allies will discuss how to respond to future threats. At the summit in Madrid, he is set to call on fellow members of the defensive alliance to ramp up defense spending. The UK's defense spending is projected to reach 2.3% of GDP, a key measure of the annual income of a country. This year, as a result of defense industry investment and 1.3 billion in military support for Ukraine, the government has said. All NATO members have committed to spending 2% of their GDP on defense, but in 2021 the target had only been reached or exceeded by 8 countries, including the USA. This all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. The final story. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps has said that rail strike could be easily settled by modernizing antiquated working practices. See, I did say that the other time, that look, when it comes to modernization, they're going to tell you that a whole train can be, operated by one person, and therefore and even now, you don't, when you go the ticket, you go to the train stations, the ticket vendors are there. You don't necessarily need to talk to somebody. You know your way out. Just slot your, just put whatever destination where you're going to. You put your destination, whether it's a return journey, whatever time it is, and then it just gives you the option to just put your card and slot it in, pam pam pam, or your money, pam 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 pam. You have your ticket and you are gone. Okay, so modernization is getting to a point where it is somehow, should I say, marginalizing human. Well, somebody will say the human interface there is being gradually taken away or fading away. But the Transport Secretary says that he described calls for him to intervene to settle the ongoing dispute between the RMT Transport Union and rail employers as red herring and a stunt. Outdated practices had to end for a resolution to be possible, he said. But the RMT Union said that Mr. Shapps was talking complete nonsense. And this is where I bring the program to a close for today. I'll be taking to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time, but that will be after this lovely tune being played in the background. And I say, don't worry, be happy. Some way, somehow, things will work, right? Have a lovely day. But remember, Mr. Olayomi Koiki is coming your way this evening with Niger Voices, having Bishop Adeyemo Adeshina as his guest. So stay tuned, don't you go away.
Grandma, rest in peace. So this song is for her as well, and don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little bears pitched by my doorstep,
Speaker, I've been asked to reply on behalf of my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister. He attended the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda, the G7 Leaders Summit, and today he's at the NATO Summit in Madrid. Mr. Speaker, I know that the thoughts of the whole House will be with the family and friends of Dame Deborah James following the news of her death. I lost my father at a young age to cancer. I will know firsthand the pain that her family must be feeling. But we also know that Dame Deborah was a huge inspiration to so many and raised millions to help others affected by cancer.
Andrew Jones.
Nationally, 52% of disabled people are in work, compared with 81% for non-disabled people. Disability Action Yorkshire, which is a charity based in Harrogate, works to close that gap, and they have highlighted the success of the Access to Work scheme. For example, one young person, having been told he would never work, is now, thanks to the targeted support available, a trainee brewer at Roosters Brewery. So will my right honourable friend consider how we can boost awareness amongst employers of this Access to Work scheme, and also consider how we can simplify the application process so more disabled people don't get deterred and will embrace it?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend for raising the work of Disability Action Yorkshire? They're doing terrific work in his constituency. I can reassure him that the DWP is committed to improving awareness through campaigns and partnerships with employers, but also disability organisations. They're also working specifically on a digital service which will make it more accessible and more visible.
Deputy Leader Angela Rayner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I also share with the Deputy Prime Minister his deepest condolences and his personal experience as we mourn the loss of Dame Deborah James, who fearlessly campaigned to inspire so many, and I'm absolutely sure there's no doubt that she saved the lives of many more. And to the family of Zara Alina, who was tragically murdered this week on the streets of Ilford. Well, Mr. Speaker, I also want to congratulate the two honourable members, the new members, who won in the by-elections this week, including my honourable friend, the member for Wakefield. Mr. Speaker, this week the government lost two by-elections in one day, the first in 3 decades. It's no wonder that the Prime Minister has fled the country and left the honourable member to carry the can. The people of Wakefield and Tiverton held their own vote of no confidence. The Prime Minister isn't just losing the room, Mr. Speaker, he's losing the country. But instead of showing some humility, he intends to limp on until the 2030s. So does he think the Cabinet will prop him up for this long?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I thank the Right Honourable Lady. I gently point out to her that we want this Prime Minister to go on a lot longer than she wants the leader of the Labour Party to go on. Mr. Speaker, we've got a working majority of 75. We're focusing on delivering for the British people. Record low unemployment wouldn't have happened if we'd listened to the Labour Party. More policing, tougher sentencing in force this week. Police, courts, Crime and Sentencing Act. She voted against both, so did the Labour Party. And we'll protect the public from these damaging rail strikes when we've got the scene of Labour front benchers joining the picket lines.
Here we go again, but the truth is, what I want for my honourable friend, the Leader of this opposition, is not to be the Leader of the opposition, but to be the Prime Minister of this country. And to be honest, Mr. Speaker, it couldn't come quick enough. Britain can't stomach this Prime Minister for another 8 years. His own backbenchers can't stomach him for another 8 minutes. And if they continue to prop him up, Mr. Speaker, I doubt the voters will stomach him for even 8 seconds in the ballot box. Now let's imagine, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is still clinging on into the 2030s. Under this tax-high, low-growth Tory government, at this rate, by 2030, the British public will have endured 55 tax rises. So how many more tax rises will this government inflict on working families before he says enough is enough?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think she was right first time. Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what we're doing. Near record levels of youth unemployment, 3.8% unemployment. We're cutting taxes next month on national insurance, £330 million. We're delivering for families through the difficult times of the cost of living. What about the Labour Party? We heard yesterday what their plan is. Their plan is no plan. The leader of the Labour Party said he's wiping the slate clean. He's starting from scratch. He's only been in the job 2 years. So Tony Blair, who's actually got some experience of winning elections, says there's a gaping hole in Labour's policy offer, and all the while there's a smile creeping over her face. All the while she's revelling in it. We're getting on with serving the people of this country. She's just playing political games.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'd revel in the opportunity for the people of this country to have more than just by-elections to see what they think of this government opposite. Call a general election and see where the people are, Mr. Speaker. And this is a man who once said high levels of government taxation was hurting UK competitiveness. Now he's backing the Prime Minister who wants to put taxes up 15 times. At this rate, Mr. Speaker, working people will be paying £500 billion more in tax by 2030. How high does he think the burden on working people should get before he says enough is enough?
Deputy Prime Minister.
We're the ones helping working people with a tax cut of £330, with the support for those on the lowest incomes, with the £650 support for 8 million on the lowest incomes, and with, frankly, the record level of investment coming into this country, from the £1 billion by Moderna for vaccines to the highest level tech investment in Europe, according to Atomico. We are the ones with a plan for low unemployment, a high wage, a high skill economy. At Labour, it's back to year zero.
Angela Rayner.
Mr. Speaker, he pretends to emphasise with those struggling with the Tory cost of living crisis when it was he himself who once said that food bank users are not in poverty but simply have a cash flow problem. The honourable member doesn't. He spent over £1 million in 9 months on private jets. It shows how out of touch this government is, Mr. Speaker. But at this rate, by 2030, 1 million more people will be using food banks. How many more working people will be pushed into poverty by his Prime Minister before he says enough is enough?
I tell you, if the Labour Party, if the Right Honourable Lady wants to help working people, they should be clear in standing up against these militant, reckless strikes by RMT. The Right Honourable Lady has flip-flopped. The Right Honourable Lady has flip-flopped all over the place when it came to these strikes. First she said they were lose-lose. Then she tweeted workers were left with no choice. When she was asked by the BBC, straight question, she's normally a straight-shooting politician, do you like the RMT? She said, I'm going to have to go now. I've got a train to catch. She talks about working people. She talks about working people. Where was the Right Honourable Lady when the comrades were on the picket line last Thursday? Where was she when the Labour front bench were joining them rather than standing up for the public? She was at the Glyndebourne Music Festival, sipping champagne, listening to opera. Champagne socialism is back in the Labour Party.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that says a lot about the party opposite. I'll tell them a few things about militancy. It's this government that are acting in a militant way. And while they should have been at the negotiating table, they were at the banqueting table getting hundreds of thousands squeezed out of their donors instead of dealing with a crisis. And he talks about trains. No one can get trains because of his failed transport minister, Mr. Speaker. And I tell you, has a stronger stomach than his...
I think we'll just have a little quiet. I want to hear the question, and you'll also want to hear the answer. Angela Rayner.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think it's rather ironic that you have to intervene because of the baying mob here when they've got people through their noisy protest laws being stopped after protesting out on the street. The thing is, Mr. Speaker, they don't like it when the the public say what they think of them. But I tell you, the honourable gentleman opposite has a stronger stomach than his colleagues behind him.
Honestly, I want to hear the question, I want to hear the answer. And I hate to say it, so do your constituents. Think about them for once instead of yourselves. Angela Rayner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And when they were asked about the absent Prime Minister's plans to stick around until 2030, one honourable member opposite said he'd lost the plot. Another one said anyone with half a brain would realise how dire things are. Yeah. And a former Conservative leader said that the country would be better off under new leadership. Yeah. And now the Prime Minister is at war with his own Defence Secretary after confirming he will break his manifesto pledge and increasing defence spending. Under this government, Britain is set to have less troops, less planes and less ships. The only thing the Prime Minister's interested in is defending his own job. Just how many more troops have to lose their jobs before he finally says enough is enough?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, there's a £24 billion increase for armed forces. Spending on the armed forces is rising to 2.3% of GDP, again making us the largest military spender in Europe. And frankly, we'll take no lessons from the Right Honourable Lady when it comes to security of this country. First thing she did when she became an MP, 2016, voted against Trident, leaving us exposed. And she was campaigning for the Right Honourable Member for Islington North to be Prime Minister, someone who would take us out of NATO.
Mr. Speaker, talking about NATO, where was the honourable member when the situation in Afghanistan on a sun lounger? That's where the honourable member was. I take no lectures from the honourable member when it comes to doing your job. The Prime Minister said he felt no shame over the by-election defeats. He said his government have been quite exceptional. Well, I agree that they've been exceptional, all right. An exceptional record on stagnant wages, rising poverty and broken promises. And the Prime Minister wants to drag this out until 2030. And how much more can he stomach before he finds the guts, Mr. Speaker? How many more tax rises? How many more families drove into poverty? And how many manifesto pledges broken? I hope for the sake of the British public, Mr. Speaker, that we never find out. And when will the Deputy Prime Minister finally grow a backbone and tell the Prime Minister the game is up?
Mr. Speaker, I can't help thinking that Right Honourable Lady is auditioning for the leadership contest on that side, not really referring to anything on this side. She's got the support of the honourable member. Look, I'll tell you what we're doing. We're putting in place the policies to grow our economy to help that.
Mr. Murray, we've had a good questions already for Scotland. It's not continued. It's not your debate. Come on.
Mr. Speaker, he was just announcing his support for the Right Honourable Lady in the forthcoming. We're putting in places the economic plan to help people with the cost of living. The Labour leader is getting ready for year zero. We're the ones supporting Ukraine with sanctions on Russia, with military support. The Honourable Lady voted to abolish Trident. We're the ones making the streets safer, more police and tougher sentencing under the Police Crime Sentencing Act in force this week. She voted against both. They got no plan. They're not fit to govern, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Eden Project North has been 5 years of my parliamentary life. We've gone through 3 Prime Ministers, 4 Chancellors, a plethora of ministers, but no, what we've got to the point is that the levelling up bid is going to go in very shortly. We've got a shovel-ready plan, we've got full planning permission. Does my right honourable friend agree with me? It is money worth spending in Morecambe.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend, there is no greater and more tenacious campaigner than the honourable member for his constituents. He'll know, I can't discuss the details of any specific bids, but the next round of funding allocations will be announced in the autumn, so we won't have to wait too much longer.
Leader of the SNP, Ian Black.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I associate myself with the remarks of the Deputy Prime Minister and the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party at the sad death of Dame Deborah James. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family at this trying time, and we thank her for all that she has done to raise money for anti-cancer. Mr. Speaker, Scotland's First Minister has set the date and started the campaign. Our nation will have its independence referendum on the 19th of October 2023. The reality is Scotland has already paid the price for not being independent. Westminster governments we did not vote for, imposing policies we don't support, breaking international law, dragging Scotland through a damaging Brexit we didn't vote for, and delivering deep austerity cuts. Contrast that with our European neighbours, who have greater income equality, lower poverty rates and higher productivity. Mr. Speaker, why not Scotland? In the weeks and months ahead, we will make the positive case for independence. Will the opposition, if they can, make the case for continued Westminster rule?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Can I thank the honourable gentleman? It's always good to see him in his place. No, genuinely, it's good to see him in his place. It's not the right time for another referendum, given the challenges that we face as one united kingdom. And I think, and he referred to some of the challenges in Scotland, but I think actually the people of Scotland want their two governments to work together, and we are keen, willing, enthusiastic to do so.
Ian Blackfoot.
There is no case for the union, as we've just heard from the Deputy Prime Minister, because, Mr. Speaker, the harsh reality is that the Tories might fear democratic debate, but they don't have the right to block Scottish democracy. As the late Canon Kenyon Wright said, what if the other voice we all know so well responds by saying, "We say no, we are the state"? His answer, well, we say yes, and we are the people. Just last year, the member for Murray, the leader of the Scottish Conservatives no less, put it in his own words: a vote for the Scottish National Party is another vote for an independence referendum. Well, you won't often hear me say this, but I agree with him, and so do the Scottish people. Scottish democracy will not be a prisoner of any Prime Minister in this place. So why is the UK government scared of democracy? Or is it simply that they have run out of ideas to defend the failing Westminster system?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank the honourable gentleman. I think he's rather airbrushing history with that long soliloquy. But look, he mentioned the problems that Scotland faces. Huge tax burden imposed by the SNP. Scotland's record on science and maths under the international PISA rankings are now have dropped below England and Wales, and the SNP have presided over the worst drug death rate in Europe, the highest since records began. I think the people of Scotland expect their government in Holyrood and in Westminster to work together to tackle the issues facing them in their day-to-day lives. That's what we're doing.
Peter Alders.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. There are great opportunities. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my sincere apologies. There are, Mr. Speaker, great opportunities to create exciting new jobs in low-carbon energy along the East Anglian coast, and East Coast College are up for the challenge of providing local people with the necessary skills. However, they and other colleges are finding it increasingly difficult to recruit and retain teachers in such work as fabrication, engineering and construction. Will my right honourable friend ensure that the government come up with a cross-departmental strategy to address this staffing crisis in our further education colleges, which could undermine the levelling up agenda?
Obviously, Deputy's Day. Come on.
My honourable friend is absolutely right, and that's why we're investing nearly £52 million to support the sector in recruiting and retaining excellent staff, and in particular looking and focusing on the experience and the skills that we can often find in industry to train the next generation of technical experts.
Dale Hamby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No country that values its independence and indeed its self-respect could agree to a treaty which signed away its economic independence and self-government. Ultimately, membership of any union that involves pooling of sovereignty can only be sustained with the consent of the people. Yes. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with the Prime Minister and his predecessor? Yes or no?
Yeah. Deputy Prime Minister.
I just say to the honourable gentleman, that's why we had the referendum in, a few years ago. The people of Scotland spoken, and we think it's not the right time to be relitigating this issue.
John Burren.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking with Lord Ahmed yesterday, I thank the government for now listening and allowing high-risk British Council contractors still in Afghanistan to be processed immediately upon their application to the Citizen Resettlement Scheme and not having to wait a further 2 months until the application window closes. With taxation at a 40-year high, when will the government be bolder in cutting taxes, given all the evidence the world over shows that lower taxes increases prosperity, raises living standards, and better enables the government to help the less fortunate, even if such a policy means cutting spending such as HS2?
My honourable friend makes an important point about driving growth in the economy, and that's why we're cutting taxes with the 130% super deduction for capital investment. That will not just create good jobs, but well-paid jobs and better paid jobs by boosting productivity. That's why we're increasing the employment allowance, which represents a tax cut of £1,000 for 500,000 small businesses. That's why we've provided business rate relief of £7 billion over the next 5 years. And of course, we're cutting national insurance just next month, worth £330 for a typical employee.
Patricia Gibbs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Tory MSP Murdo Fraser points out, Scotland has a third of Britain's landmass, half its territorial waters, over 60% of UK fishing zones, 98% of oil reserves, 63% of natural gas, a quarter of Europe's offshore wind resources, and 90% of the UK's fresh water. Can the Deputy Prime Minister explain if his opposition to Scottish independence is because he fears the loss of these invaluable resources?
Deputy Prime Minister.
She's absolutely right in what she just said. There are huge assets right across Scotland, and that's why we think we're stronger together in delivering for the people of Scotland.
Oliver Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister will be aware that in North East Hertfordshire we have some of the best farmland in the country, and at a time when there are concerns about food production, food security, at a time when the government is considering rural land use, isn't it time to ensure that our productive farmland isn't covered in solar plants and that they are positioned rather on brownfield sites, on buildings and on low-grade agricultural land?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I think he makes a powerful point, and our 2023 land use framework will set out our priorities for land use across the country, and he's right that we've got to protect the most versatile agricultural land, and any plans for ground-mounted solar installations will have to take that very point into account. His point is well made.
Rosie Duffy.
So far this year, 52 women have been killed in the UK. Our rights to free speech, safe spaces, fairness in sport, and even the words we use to describe our own bodies are all under threat. Will the Deputy Prime Minister send a clear signal, as some of his Cabinet colleagues have done this week, that Britain respects the rights of women, and will he accept the cross-party amendment to his forthcoming Bill of Rights, which enshrines a woman's right to choose in law?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Can I thank the Honourable Lady for her question? Can I also just say at the outset what huge respect I personally have for her with the way she stood up for women's rights, and frankly the appalling harassment, trolling and bullying that she's faced. The position, as she knows, is settled in UK law in relation to abortion. It's decided by honourable members across this House. It's an issue of conscience. I don't think there is a strong case for change. What I wouldn't want to do is find ourselves with the greatest respect in the US position, where this is being litigated through the courts rather than settled, as it is now settled, by honourable members in this House.
Well,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. In February 2019, this House passed my excellent Civil Partnerships, Marriages and Deaths Registration, etc. Act, mandating government to extend civil partnerships to opposite-sex couples, enabling marriage records to include mothers' details, and requiring the Justice Secretary to produce a report empowering coroners to investigate stillbirths. The first two have come into force very successfully, But 2.5 years on, despite further shocking revelations about deaths of babies at several hospitals, no report has yet been published, nor regulations to give coroners the powers they need. Why not?
Can I thank my honourable friend? He's absolutely right to raise this, and of course stillbirth is an appalling tragedy which has the most devastating impact on families across the country. He's right, the MOJ, the DHSC have jointly consulted on proposals to provide coroners with new powers in this regard. I have looked at this personally. We will be publishing the government's response to the consultation very shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Threatened, terrified, alone. This was how survivors of sexual violence told me they felt when they were pressured into signing non-disclosure agreements and gagging clauses by their universities. No victim of sexual assault or harassment should ever be coerced into silence by the very institutions who are meant to protect them. Not at university, not at work, not anywhere. So will the government back my bill to ban the use of NDAs in cases of sexual harassment, bullying and misconduct? And will the Deputy Prime Minister consider meeting with me in his role as Justice Secretary to discuss how we'll put a stop to this deplorable practice once and for all?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Can I just say to the Honourable Lady, I'll look very carefully at any particular proposals she has. We've got to do everything we can to protect women and girls in this country, and also, frankly, to make them feel more confident in the justice system. That's why I'm relieved, but restless to go further, but relieved that the volume of rape convictions in the last year alone is up by 2/3. And of course, in the Police Courts Sentencing and Crime Act in force this week, we have taken extra measures, for example, by extending the time limit for reporting domestic abuse, and also criminalising taking photos of a mother breastfeeding without consent. And I'll certainly look at the proposals that she's raised with me.
Daniel Kaczynski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are investing nearly £190 billion this year into the NHS, and yet many of us see disturbing deficiencies within NHS management, no more so than in the Shrewsbury and Telford NHS Trust. 4 years ago, in 2018, my right honourable friend, the member for Ludlow, and I secured £312 million for a major A&E modernisation within our local hospital trust. 4 years on, construction has still not started. What message can the Deputy Prime Minister give to the people of Shrewsbury as to how government can intervene to break this gridlock and finally allow the £312 million we have secured to be utilised for the benefits of the people of Shropshire and Mid Wales?
Well, my honourable friend is a doughty champion of his constituents, particularly on NHS services. The DHSC recently received the strategic outline case for the transformation of A&E services in Shrewsbury and Telford. It's still being processed, but I can tell him that the Trust is aiming to present the full business case in 2023, with construction starting in the same year.
Liz Savile-Roberts.
When he announced his Bill of Rights last week, the Deputy Prime Minister said it will strengthen our UK tradition of freedom. Freedom, shameless, from a government whose contempt for the rule of law and devolution can be judged in equal measure. They're scrapping Welsh law against our will, denying Scotland the right to choose their own future. That isn't freedom. Will he prove me wrong? Will he prove me wrong by enshrining self-determination in his Bill of Rights?
Can I thank the Honourable Lady? I thought it was very deft the way she got that in. I think we've all heard, actually, across the benches today, the case for reinforcing free speech, whether it's the judge-made privacy laws or some of the way people are shouted down when they express legitimate opinions. And I also think that the people of Wales will want to join with us, as true across the country, in making sure we can deport more foreign national offenders. That is the reality for the people in Wales and across the United Kingdom, and I think the Bill of Rights will be strengthening our tradition of freedom, but also curbing those abuses and making sure we inject a bit more common sense into the system.
Johnny Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Derriford Hospital in my constituency is part of the new hospital build programme announced by this government, and work on the new emergency department actually starts this year, which is a significant investment for the amazing staff there and the brilliant Chief Executive, Anne James, who works so hard. But given the incredible pressures on the real estate in Derriford, would my honourable friend consider prioritising capital investment into that part of the UK to ensure that we can accelerate these plans, particularly in digital, so that people in Plymouth get the world-class healthcare they deserve?
Can I thank our honourable friend? Look, he's absolutely right. This is the largest hospital building programme in a generation, and his constituents are going to benefit very directly. I can tell him that there will be a new integrated emergency care hospital scheme for University Hospitals Plymouth NHS Trust at the Derriford Emergency Care Hospital. And yes, on tech, he's absolutely right. The facilities will be at the cutting edge of modern technology, and that will really help drive up the quality of patient care.
Bill Furness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The victims of black cab rapist John Warboys were only able to challenge the police's failures to investigate his appalling crimes because of the Human Rights Act. They would not have been able to do so under the Deputy Prime Minister's new so-called Bill of Rights. Why does he want to stop women like the victims of John Warboys from making sure that police protect them from rape and sexual assault and getting the justice they deserve?
Can I thank the honourable lady for the opportunity? It was not the result of litigation that addressed the problems with the Warboy case, and indeed, if she wants to look after victims in cases like that and others, the Labour Party should join with us, not just in supporting the Bill of Rights, but our parole reforms that will make sure dangerous offenders are not released and we protect the public.
David Simmons.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my constituent Joel Lindop has suffered the abduction of his young children to Poland, one of many families in the UK who go through a similar experience every year. And despite repeated judgments in his favour in the courts in Poland, he's been unable to persuade the Polish authorities to fulfil their obligations under international law and return those children to their family. Will my right honourable friend intercede and ensure that my constituent and the many other families who face this challenge are able to ensure that their children are returned safely and in a timely fashion in the future?
Can I thank my honourable friend? Look, I can't imagine how appalling that situation must be for any parent to find themselves in. He'll know we're committed to the 1980 Hague Convention on Child Abduction, and that does provide a mechanism. He's right that that's one that has to be driven through the courts, and that's not something we can directly interfere on, but I will make sure, and I'll speak to the Foreign Office and see if the Minister can address whether there's anything further that we can properly do to support him.
Brendan McNeill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. A serious question on the conduct of the government as regards free trade agreements. And I cannot understate the fury of the International Trade Committee this morning that led us to unanimously empty chair the Secretary of State for International Trade. The government has broken its word to the committee, to the House and to you, Mr. Speaker, on scrutiny of the Australian trade deal by triggering Crag and now endangering a committee report. It is the unanimous view of the committee, Mr. Speaker, Tory, Labour, SNP and DUP, that Crag should be delayed to allow proper scrutiny, as was promised. Will the government deliver on its promise and therefore delay Crag?
I understand.
Deputy Prime Minister.
I understand, Mr. Speaker, that the Secretary of State for International Trade has agreed to come back and address the committee just as soon as possible.
Tim Sunderland.
Mr. Speaker, I was privileged last week to attend the Malaria Summit in Kigali. Even today, malaria remains the biggest single killer of mankind ever, and 1.7 billion people are living every day under its shadow of misery. But, Mr. Speaker, we're on the cusp of something really special, in that recent advances, education and our British world-leading vaccines can now eradicate it forever. Can my right honourable friend please confirm that the UK will fulfil its full commitment to the Global Fund?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Can I thank my honourable friend? I know from working at the Foreign Office just how powerful the Global Fund is. It's a very high-performing international organisation. He will know that since 2002 we've been the third largest donor, so we've stepped up to the plate. The UK hasn't yet determined our pledge for the 7th replenishment, but I know the Foreign Secretary will have heard loud and clear the advocacy that he's made in their regard.
Final question, Bel Ribeiro Addy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In their efforts to pursue a hostile environment, the Home Office routinely tears families apart and breaks human rights and equalities legislation. They're reported to be sending yet another charter deportation flight to Nigeria and Ghana. In Pride Month, they'll be deporting LGBT asylum seekers, fleeing homophobia, and grandmothers and mothers of British children who have lived in this country for over 25 years. Given that the Home Office repeatedly get it wrong and end up having to take people off these flights, can the Deputy Prime Minister tell me how many people have been removed from this flight already, and when will they stop these inhumane deportation charter flights?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, thank the Honourable Lady. Look, she's right, at least in one respect. Of course, people who come here need to be treated decently and humanely. We're absolutely committed to that. We also need to make sure that we cut down the illegal routes, and those that are here committed serious offences can be returned home. And the crucial thing, and I'm working with the Home Secretary, is to make sure we do both of those things. But what we can't allow is illegal routes to flourish into this country, otherwise we'll just attract more. And we cannot allow people who commit serious offences in this country to stay and continue to pose a threat to the public.
Ends questions.